Hello, can you hear me? I'm Dennis Kopitz, Director of E-commerce at Shinola. Thank you all for coming, I appreciate it. Thanks the Amazon Pay team for having us here today. I've been with Shinola for almost 4 years now, Director of E-commerce. I've personally been working in retail and e-commerce and software development for almost 20 years now. And hopefully I'll bring a little value today to your time here, share a little bit of the experience we've had at Shinola with our digital and e-commerce business, and hopefully we'll have some time for some questions at the end, so start thinking of them now if you have them. I'm going to present a little history of the company, the short history of the company, talk about the e-commerce group specifically, a little bit about mobile and that impact that we're having from mobile traffic, and I'm sure you're experiencing as well. Amazon Pay and our implementation and changes to our checkout that we've made recently, and a little bit about what's next for the e-commerce group. All right, so Shinola. This is a picture of the building that we occupy in downtown Detroit. It was actually built by General Motors. It was a research and development facility. It was later donated to the College for Creative Studies in Detroit. And they were gracious enough to lease us some space in this building. It's a beautiful, beautiful building in downtown Detroit. The business was conceived in 2011. And the challenge here was to bring back American watchmaking. Now this is an industry that basically didn't exist in the United States and hasn't for decades, building watches at scale. So it was quite a mission to be put on, and it's been a really, really exciting ride. So building a watch factory in Detroit involved a lot of pieces to the puzzle. One of them obviously was tooling up an actual factory and finding the expertise. We partnered with a company from Switzerland called Ronda, who's a movement manufacturer. They came, helped us tool up the factory, train folks from Detroit on the watchmaking process, and train the trainers so we can continue the process of developing that expertise and building a workforce to do this kind of work. And we spent a couple years doing that. Finally, in early 2013, we were ready to build our first watch. It was christened the Runwell Limited Edition. And in March of 2013, we built a really simple e-commerce website with one product on it. Launched it as pre-sale. We weren't actually quite ready to ship these watches yet, but they were a little behind schedule and we were anxious to get started. We built 2,500 of these watches, and amazingly we sold them all in 8 days, all through this simple little one-page e-commerce website. And you know, it was amazing. It was super exciting. Even the founding team really had no idea it would take off like that. And so that was really the start of the movement, as we like to call it. With that success, we quickly opened up a store in Detroit in June. It's our flagship store on Canfield. Highly recommend you come take a look. It's a beautiful location. And then quickly after that, a couple months later, we opened in New York, in Tribeca, and that was really the start of our retail operations. Simultaneously, we actually started also building some other products. Bicycles was immediately part of the plan. Originally, we were basically assembling bikes in our factory in Detroit. We also expanded into journals, working with some partnerships with other U.S. manufacturers. And then leather. So that was the next big thing. We decided leather was something we could do, looking for opportunities to bring American manufacturing back in these categories of quality goods. We built a leather factory, sort of the same process took place. We brought in expertise from Italy to teach us how to do this, tool up the factory, help us build up the workforce. And now we have really a full-blown leather factory that's producing not just the straps for the watches, but also small leather goods and some of the bags and stuff that we're making. We also have a supply category that is really mostly collaborations with other U.S. makers, household goods, apparel, personal items like Benchmade knives, and that kind of thing. So those first couple years were just amazing, exciting time for growth, scrambling to sort of make everything happen. I remember working in we were on one floor of this building at the time, and there was only about 70 of us there. It was this enormous amount of space between us. And then as we sort of started ramping up, just desks rolling into the building day after day with new hires. It was an amazing opportunity. And again, the focus of the company was really just about, what kind of high quality goods can we produce and bring back American manufacturing jobs. Recently, we've forayed into the audio category. So in last fall, we launched our first audio product called the Runwell Turntable in partnership with a longtime company in the United States called BPI, who's well known for their expertise in this category. And then we will be launching headphones later this year as a new category for us. So that one's pretty exciting and crazy, right? This is like, again, we built a small audio factory within the building where we're assembling all these turntables. And just to show you how crazy the ideas are going on at this company, we're also opening a hotel. That's going to be in fall of 2018. It's already under construction. And it's going to be pretty exciting. It'll be filled with product and designs from the Shinola creative team. So, as it stands today, we actually have 25 stores across the country now, all built up over the last 5 years. 2 more stores opening this year. We're in 500 specialty jewelry and watch stores with both watches, leather, and some of the other products. And we're also in major department stores like Neiman's and Nordstrom's. To date, we've now built over 600,000 watches in this factory in Detroit, 250,000 leather straps, and we've created over 600 meaningful jobs both in Detroit and around the country. Over 200 of those jobs are in our manufacturing facilities. All right, so Shinola e-commerce, my group. As I mentioned, we sort of launched originally with this single-page site to sell that first watch. With the success of that launch, we quickly scrambled to sort of build out the site to support additional watches and the journals and the bikes and all the rest of the stuff. We were basically up and running with a complete e-commerce solution by end of June that same year. Added responsive to the site by November that year to be ready for holiday, and basically we were a full-blown e-commerce situation by then. Since then, really, it's been a process of evolving the site, adding features and integrations, and I'm sure all the stuff that you guys are used to having to deal with in your digital and e-commerce businesses. Then in 2015, we decided we needed to go international. We added on to the system 16 individual EU country sites. And along with that, 2 additional languages. So got into the whole translation game and all the infrastructure needed to support that. And 2 additional currencies so that people could check out in either euros or British pounds in their native currencies of those countries. So a lot of work went into that one. The team. So I like to call it built in Detroit, just like the products we make. We're really an in-house team. We have, hopefully, if you have in-house teams, you're probably familiar with these disciplines. We're 4 groups, really: digital merchandising, digital marketing, digital creative, and software development. And essentially, we are really kind of a single business unit within Shinola without really a lot of shared resources. So it's a really cool, nimble way to sort of organize the group. We're really just a team of 15 people within these 4 disciplines that run the entire operation. And I just thought this was a good opportunity to talk about this difficult decision I think companies have to make between doing this kind of work in-house and outsourcing it. And just making the pitch for, I really think in this day and age, it's critical that this sort of technology becomes a core competency of the business. And any chance you can hire in-house and do this work yourself, bring in people that can understand it, and spread that knowledge throughout the company, I think is critical for business success. And that's sort of the philosophy that we've used over the years. And on top of that, the digital marketing game, I think, is also now become basically a tech world, like with programmatic and retargeting and the way pay-per-click works now and SEO and all this stuff. It's really just another technical game, and one of the things I think is critical to bring in-house expertise in. So I'd love to hear from you guys how you guys are handling those sorts of things. For you technical folks, this is our stack that we basically use. So we use Amazon Web Services for all of our hosting and infrastructure. We're on the Magento platform for our e-commerce. And all of that's sort of fronted by Akamai as our application development network, or application delivery network, and CDN. And then just to, hit with most of the sort of integrations and partners we use to support both email, translations, feedback, customer service, testing, monitoring, all that stuff. So if anyone has used those folks or has questions about any of those, happy to talk more about it. I'd say our philosophy in this group is learn fast. And what I mean by that is when you're picking vendors to work with and partners, I think it's critical that you find folks that can get up and running quick. The idea of taking 6 months or longer to do an integration or add a new feature is just old school. There's no place for it anymore. You need to get these things running quickly, 30 days or less, and work with vendors who have pay-as-you-go sort of contract plans, because you just don't know how this stuff's going to work out, and you need to be nimble. So it's my word of advice to keeping this stuff rolling quickly. All right, mobile. So this is a chart of our mobile traffic at the top here from middle of July through holiday of 2016. And I think this really highlights what the industry's been talking about for a number of years, which is this rise of mobile and people's becoming so much more comfortable with shopping on their devices. So it's become, I think earlier I saw a slide, they said that 64% of retail transactions involve mobile, either as for research or transactional. And this is what we're experiencing. And we've been talking about it for a long time and spent an enormous amount of time in 2016 sort of preparing our web application for this kind of traffic, which I'll talk to a little bit more. So in this holiday period, we saw a 79% increase in mobile transaction growth, traffic up 56%, and mobile conversions up 15%. So all of these numbers really just, I think, solidify this idea that people are going to be shopping on mobile even more in the future. I think at some point, likely, it'll be the only device people shop on. The devices are getting better. The applications are getting better. Things like Amazon Pay are helping folks check out without any friction at all. And all these things, I think, are really changing the game. So I mentioned we did a big redesign in 2016. We actually spent about a year on this design. It is the mobile-first design that you've probably heard a lot of people talk about. And it was a challenge creatively and technically, merchandising, all of it. And what we found was it took us a fair amount of time to sort of change the mindset of everybody working on this project to mobile first. So it's easy to say it, but everybody in their mind, as they're working through the creative design, the technical challenges, are always sort of in their minds thinking about desktop and then thinking about how it works on mobile secondary. When we finally sort of got everybody to the point where, listen, don't even talk about desktop till we've solved the mobile challenge first, things really started to click and made a huge difference. And it turned out that when you design and build for mobile, translating that to desktop is much easier than going the other way around. And it was really like a watershed moment when people started to realize that. We launched that new design in October of 2016. And it's doing very well. I'd say it's still definitely a work in progress. This stuff always is. Lots more to do, and we have just a huge backlog of projects to keep going with on this. One of the big features was this mini card on the right side. You've probably seen a design like this before. I'd say the one thing that's really unique about this one for us is we basically are attempting to eliminate the cart page completely. Just another way to sort of remove steps in this process. So this is your cart, and we've slowly been trying to put all of the functionality that would be in a normal full cart page just in this sidebar. So all the details about the products you have, controls to do gift options, links to cross-sell items that you might need to consider with your purchase, ability to change quantity, all that stuff you would see in a cart page is just right there in that right control, along with all the checkout steps for you to make choice of. So that's really worked out well as, again, reducing some of the steps involved in purchasing. All right, I would be remiss if we didn't talk about Amazon Pay a little bit. So we launched with Amazon Pay in 2015. Again, the objective here was to continue that evolution of trying to reduce the friction in checkout. And I'd say it went really well for us. Most of you, I assume, are using Amazon Pay or have at least looked at it and considering using it. So this is what it looks like on our site, that simple Amazon Pay sign-in. Once you've signed in to Amazon Pay, you basically land at this page. And there's really nothing you have to interact with here if you're happy with all the settings you have in your Amazon account. So your default billing address, your default payment method, pre-select your best shipping method, and you basically can just place order. So on a phone, you can imagine this is really a fantastic experience for the user. It's quick, it's easy. It's basically you type in your login and you're done. So before we did Amazon Pay, we had about a 90% credit card checkout split. We had PayPal as well. So about 10% PayPal, 90% credit cards. And in the last 12 months, it's gone down to overall 66% credit card checkouts. So really strong adoption for Amazon Pay right out of the chute. And on mobile, Amazon Pay makes up 24% of our checkouts. So it's a pretty big number if you consider how comfortable people are using their credit cards for e-com transactions. And so on mobile, we're now down to 58% of transactions being credit card. This is just a way to sort of help you understand who's using this checkout for us. We do an analysis pretty regular on our customer base. We call it lifetime value quartiles. So we divide all the customers up by their lifetime value for us into 4 groups. Guppies, bluegills, groupers, and whales are just what we call them. And guppies have a tendency to be younger, more female, and they tend to buy some of the smaller items like journals, small leather goods, some of the supply items. So you can see as you go from guppies to whales for our customer group, you tend to get a little older and a little more male and a little more high ticket pricing. So you can see that the younger folks are really hot on using these alternate payment methods. All right, so just one quick slide on what we call Retail 360. This is our omni-channel work that we're doing. We're really, I'd say, behind the ball on this a little bit, but we're trying to do some catch up. And I know a lot of you have probably been reading how critical this is for e-commerce and brick and mortar businesses to sort of align these channels.
Thank you, Dan. We're going to take one more 2-minute break before Paul Bofkin.
You guys want to take a break? No. All right. I'm almost done. All right. So really what I want to talk about here is, this graphic in the middle, this idea of the customer being in the center of everything is really sort of our vision for how this is going to work. And, the benefit here to the customer is this sort of seamless transactional experience for them, right? No matter whether they're shopping on our website, shopping in our store, shopping with one of our specialty wholesale accounts, they get a consistent experience and a place where their purchase history and their engagement history with the brand is visible to the people that are working with them. It's a tall order. I know a lot of companies are working on this kind of thing and many failing to really produce measurable results from it. But I think it's critical really for the success of e-commerce and brick and mortar today for both channels. The big benefit, I think, for us is this idea of a 360-degree view of the customer's interaction with the brand so that we can do some anticipative action. And I say anticipative action because it all goes to this sort of personalization concept, right? The idea is that we can understand really what your likely next need or engagement the brand can assist you with would be without you even having to ask for it. So like for us, watch strap replacements, battery repairs, gifts for holidays that are coming up, or birthdays, anything we can do to create a more concierge level one-on-one experience for our customers. And that's really, from a technology standpoint, where we're focusing most of our energy today. All right, that's it. So I'd love to take some questions if anyone has any.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Rachel. I just want to say I appreciate you and your mission to bring manufacturing jobs back to the U.S.
Thank you.
And I'm the co-founder for Seat Hoodie, which is a post-workout washable car seat cover.
Mm-hmm.
And my question for you is, how do you decide or test the new categories that you want to expand to?
I can't say that we've done an enormous amount of testing necessarily, but what we're doing is looking for opportunities where, this sort of American manufacturing just has sort of gone away and supply chains don't exist anymore. And often what we do, and I don't know if this is a possible opportunity for you, but we try to find in the beginning partnerships with folks that really have expertise, which I sort of alluded to earlier. I think that's critical to sort of give you credibility that you really are a company that can do this in an authentic and legitimate quality way. But I can't say, I'm not part of the product development team, but we certainly do, we're regularly creating new products in the categories we do, and we give a lot of that stuff away as part of our testing and quality assurance programs. But as far as new product goes, I think we're winging it most of the time, honestly. Like the hotel. We certainly haven't tested that.
Well, I'm interested to see how that goes, so that's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Peter. I'm here with Marketplace Ignition. We're an agency that helps brands grow their business on Amazon. It's not only a plug, but also a segue into my question. So as somebody that's done some digital marketing for a little while over my career, I think I have a grasp on that side of the equation, but occasionally brainstorm ideas about products that I might want to start a company and try to bring something to market. The part that I don't know how to even begin with is sourcing and manufacturing. And I know you just spoke to partnerships as a good way to get a foothold there, but I'm just wondering if you can talk a little bit more, if you're somebody brand new trying to break into a market, how do you go about sort of vetting people as well as just finding materials to put a product together?
Again, I'm more on the technical side, honestly, and not involved too much in product development. I will say, and it sounds like maybe you've already sort of explored that, is, Amazon. I talk to people all the time about Amazon as a great place to start a business like that. As far as sourcing for material and product and expertise, I don't really know that I have any particular great advice in that area. I certainly could help you get that website up to sell that stuff if you need it, though.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the question.
And we'll take one more question here, and then we got a break. Yep.
How you doing? Nate from Young and Reckless. We're a young brand serving mostly millennials in over 1,000 stores nationwide. As far as digital marketing, how are you guys, one, attributing the different, what attribution model are you guys using? Are you guys still on last touch, or are you guys moving to MTA, multi-attribution model? And how are you doing so?
So we're generally using Google Analytics and their attribution models. We use position-based. What we found is you've got to look at it all the different ways, right? And it depends what kind of marketing dollars you're spending. So, in the early days, we were pretty much exclusively paid search, retargeting, some affiliate, and obviously SEO. And paid search, we feel like a great way to analyze it is from a last click attribution standpoint. But when you start doing display advertising, where you're actually, serving up ads to folks that have never heard of you before, really, I feel like first interaction or first impression or first click is a better way to look at that information. So now you get into this world of attributing revenue across multiple interactions, right? And you can go crazy trying to figure out the right way to look at this stuff. I think our experience has been you can just look at all of it. And for each type of advertising, you got to look at a different model, right? And just don't worry about the fact that you're double attributing revenue. If you're doing display, it sounds like maybe for you guys display and social.
Yeah, a lot of social display, Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah. And so again, when we're looking at that spend, we're looking at it from a first interaction standpoint. Are these people coming to the site? And one of the other conversion metrics I'm sure you guys probably look at is email capture, right? We found that capturing an email is worth about $35 to us. So we understand the value of an email and can sort of put that back into the model to understand the value of the spend in those categories. But really, like I said, I think you have to play with it yourself and see what makes the most sense, and don't get too caught up in the world of, exactly giving X% of revenue toward, X position of the interaction. Is that helpful?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Cool.
All right. Thank you, Dennis. Give it up for Dennis.
All right. Thank you.